Hello everyone, I'm Rafael Alvarez and this is Alvarez Metalworks. So today what we got going on is we got part 3 of the tow rig project. But before we get to work on anything, I want to give a quick shout out to Rourke Supply. Frank, the owner, sent me out a little bit of a care package to help me along with this project. I can't thank them enough for that. These guys have been a big support for me. I've done a lot of product testing for them, and I can tell you, for certain that I put my own name behind anything that I test for them. If I tell you it's good, it's good. And I've done a ton of product testing on their flat discs and some other products for them. And I can tell you that the things that I've told them that were not any good, they're not on the shelves. So make sure you guys show a little bit of support to them. They are offering you that 10% discount if you use coupon code METAL. That's our thank you to you for all the support of my channel. See what they got. They got quite a few things on there that I guarantee will be helpful for you. So anyways, I'm putting on this cutoff wheel because all of mine apparently were wore out. I didn't realize it. I thought I had some left, but I didn't. So they quickly got some out for me and get some more of this metal cut up without trying to stack metal up on there so the blade goes through. Basically what we're doing right here is I'm putting on a new cutoff wheel on my angle grinder, and I'm going to get to work on cutting all the welds on the flatbed portion. If you remember in part 1 of the video, or excuse me, part 2 of the video, I ended the video letting you guys know that I made a mistake. The bed was not squared up. I thought I had it squared. I made a little bit of an adjustment that turned out to be a major problem. So I get to go back and cut up my beautiful welds and readjust the flatbed portion of that, and then once that's all in place, I can make a couple little tacks and then get to work on the sleeper portion of the floor. So with that being said, sit tight, enjoy the video, and let's make some things happen. One thing I do want to mention is before I get to work on any of this, I'm going to show you a little quick video of the truck actually running. I decided, you know what, I need to make sure this thing still runs. I hadn't started it up in a long time, so here's proof. Be right back. So it's alive. It still runs. I haven't started this thing in a long time. Well over a year now. Still runs good. I got some work to do to it. I've got to sort through all the ambulance wiring. I've got to get rid of the AC lines that come through here that are just laying right there. Got to get rid of all that. But most importantly, in that box right there is a brand new flex plate that I need to replace on it. Now, here in the front, what we got going on, we have our front cross member in. It's cut at 45s on the end. It's just tacked into place, flush with the top of this. Let me see if I can zoom in here. You see there how they're cut at 45s with the 45 on the outside. The reason why that is because I'm going to have 45-degree mitered corners on the sleeper. So that area right there will all be sheet metal that lines up to that. The weld will be on the inside, and that's pretty much the way it's going to be. So I've got that in. I got this sitting flat with the main frame rails there. It drops down, you can see there. I've got one of the legs that attach it to it in place. Everything is flat. When you look down the whole length of it, it's all flat. I don't have any kind of weird bow where it meets in the center section here. Everything's lining up really, really well. I did get the bed all squared away. Remember in the last video I told you guys that the bed wasn't square. I did get that all dealt with. You can see that I was really quite far off. So, you know, that's all addressed, and that's all fixed up. I only have a couple of tacks holding it in place so that this way, you know, I can make sure everything's right before I go and throw down a bunch of welds again. So the goal here for the rest of this video is to get this section dropped down and that piece into place. So anyway, sit tight, let's get some more work done. I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys the setup on how I'm trying to make this all flat over here. This top piece, when I put this in, the vertical piece, you know, I squared it up to here, squared it up to here, and that made sure that the distance between here and here was what it was supposed to be. But as long as it was square here and flat across here, I knew we would be okay with keeping our straight line all the way down the length of this. So now that that's in place and I had 4 tacks in, I put in this here and I squared it up to the frame there. I squared it up here and then made sure it was flush on this side. This one doesn't matter too much, but you know, as long as it's pretty close on that side, it was okay. So now I'm getting ready to put this in, and I've actually got a couple of tacks on it. I got my daughter holding the corner flat over here. We got a little bit of a, you can see here it's not quite meeting up just right. That could be cut issues. It could be a little bit out of square. We'll figure that out later. It's not that big of an issue. But over here, I took a piece of, you know, some scrap, and I'm clamping it to this so that I could butt it up against this piece to make sure that that is completely flat on this end. Then I've got this crossbar here clamped to the frame, sitting on that frame, and then pulling this piece up to it to ensure that my floor is flat. Okay, like I said, I got a couple of tacks on the inside there. Now I'm going to come here on the outside. I'm going to pull this scrap stock off, and I'm going to throw a couple of tacks there, and then I'm going to move up to the front and start working on that. Okay everyone, I'm back. Basically we're done for this part of the video. It's late, it's Sunday night, got to get to work, got to get some sleep so I can get to work in the morning. Hopefully I'm not too exhausted during the week and I can get in here and get some more work done on this. I spent the last few hours drawing up the layouts of the walls. This is the side wall, this would be the cab. I know in the initial drawing in the beginning of the video, I show the window towards the back of the sleeper. I opted not to do that because I didn't want it directly like in your shoulder area when you're sitting in the seats that are going to be back there. So, and you know, we'll talk about that later when we get to it. But basically, I've been drawing up all the walls. I'll have 2 windows on the back wall. I'm figuring out my material. I'm a little concerned about running out of material. I didn't plan to have the floor cross members in here. I didn't plan to have them at 12 inches on center. Now there's a little bit of there's some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to that, because there's some areas where I don't need to have them at 12 inches on center. In one particular area where I can't have them. But anyway, the reason why I went 12 inches on center is because that 24 inches was just too much. And I laid it out at 24 inches on center on purpose, because if I thought that it wasn't enough, it's real easy for me to drop one right dead center and do the 12 inches on center. Thanks to the guys that gave me feedback on, that have built stuff like this before and recommended the 12 inches on center. I went ahead and did that. But here over the axle, this is not going to be 12 inches on center. Talked about it earlier in the video. I'm going to work something out in this area to make sure I got plenty of support, but I also have the gooseneck thing that I'm going to build here. So there's going to be a little bit of something different going on here in the front section, which saves me a whole length of tubing here. Here in the sleeper cab area, obviously I don't have all the cross members in. Got the whole perimeter framed out. I've got one set of cross members in here. I've got this center section here. This is 36 inches on center from the back, okay? All my measurements are coming off the back going forward. The reason why they're doing that is because I opted to put the window here towards the front. And because this is not, this doesn't divide up evenly, every foot. It's not a perfect, it doesn't drop perfectly, on the foot mark. So that benefits me, because when it comes to my layout for the wall, it allows me to have a stud that is not quite 12 inches out from the cab, which allows me to put the window a little bit closer to the front of the cab. So, and without having it to be directly right on the seam. So with that being said, that's why you're looking at what you're looking at here. I'm not going to put any more cross members in the sleeper cab section until I frame out the sleeper. Now, I know in the previous two videos I talked about building the frame, removing the frame, and then working on the cab and chassis part of this, the cutaway, getting all the frame cleaned up, so on and so forth, before I started working on the sleeper cab itself. However, I changed my mind. And I changed my mind for one big reason. Two big reasons. Number one is I figured out a way where I could build the sleeper cab and not have to worry about weight. And number two is it's very difficult for me as a fabricator to be able to keep my mindset on all the structural framing, the thought process that I had and everything, if I'm jumping to other parts of this job. Okay, so for me, it's better for workflow for me to stay focused on that one aspect of this build and continue on with it until it's done. Okay, so I would rather not start working on the frame and all the wiring and all that BS that needs to be done with the cutaway part of this video. I would rather finish all the framing first. So my solution to doing this is to build this in two pieces. Okay, the floor is still going to be the floor, and the floor will still be removed as just a floor. However, I can build the four walls of the sleeper and the ceiling onto this floor without welding it into place. And that's what I plan on doing. I'm probably going to lay a couple of tacks here and there just to support them so it doesn't fall off, and keeps it in place, keeps it all squared up while I'm building the four walls and putting them in place. But when it's all said and done and I got the four walls built and I got the roof, no sheet metal, just the framing, and I got the roof built and it's all welded together, it will hold its shape, and I can come back out here, cut all the tacks, and I can lift that sleeper cab off, set it aside, come back here, and this will be light enough where we can, me, my daughters, and my wife can come in here and pick up the frame and move that off as well. Now, with that being said, right now this is light enough for us to move. I could still add more weight and we should still be able to move this no problem. So I think I'm going to build all the side skirting on this before it comes off. And the reason being is there's an aspect of this build I didn't talk about. those running boards on the cab, those are coming off, and I'm going to build some really heavy duty running boards out of some 1 3/4, 1/8 wall tubing, and I'm going to run it from the front tire all the way back to the wheel opening. And I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. I believe that it will create a bit of like a rock rail type situation, because this is towing to off-road events. I don't want to smash up, the skirts on this on a tree stump or a rock or whatever when I'm towing out to an off-road event. So that will give it a little bit of added protection there. Number two, I think it'll look good. And number three, if I ever take a side impact, those will be welded to the frame, and it will add a little bit of added protection from the side impact. So that's something that I plan on doing, and having the skirts built onto this is a necessary thing for me to start building that. The other thing is I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the exhaust. I've got it chopped off here. I've thought about going right through the center of the frame and running it out the side skirts with the double tips that I have over here. But I'm not so sure that that's going to be okay when it comes to emissions. I got to talk to a buddy of mine that does vehicle inspections out here and see what the requirements are as far as sniff testing, if they do any sniff testing with diesels out here, and if so, do they have to have that stupid dog cone thing that slides over it, or is it something they just stick the probe inside of there and be fine? Because if I have this coming out of the body work, we're talking about a situation where, maybe that much of the tip is going to stick out of the side of the bodywork, and this is all going to be sheet metal here, so they're not going to be able to stick like something over the exhaust pipe because the bodywork will be in the way. So I got to make some calls there and see what my options are, but I think it'd be really cool if I can do that. Anyways, I'm kind of blabbing right now. That's quite a bit later in the build, but that's it for now. Again, hopefully this week I'll be able to get in here and start framing out the walls. And the plus side of this entire situation is now this is becoming a welding table. I have my welding table over there, but it's not big enough to build these walls on. But this flatbed sure the hell is, and it's perfectly flat, or at least as perfect as it needs to be, and it'll allow me to use that to frame out the walls and get everything done and put into place there. So I'm pretty excited to get the walls of the sleeper cab up, so I'm glad I figured out a way to do that, because I want you guys to see it. When it's all framed out, you'll get a better idea of what the plan is. I know that picture shows you guys, but pictures are pictures, especially when they're drawings like that. When you see it, when you actually see the real product, it's quite a bit different. So that being said, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. I'm really enjoying the build myself. I'm really happy I chose to do this. I wish I had a lot more money to work with and a lot more time to work with, but it is what it is. It's kind of the reality of life. So bear with me on time. Bear with me on Project Pathfinder. I'm still collecting parts on that. I'm running out of time quick. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to make my deadline, but we'll see. Check out RourkeSupply.com. Use coupon code METAL. Get your 10% off anything you order from them. That's my thank you to you, and Rourke Supply's thank you to you for supporting my channel. Definitely go check those out. Check that place out, you guys. They got good prices to begin with. They got good products. I know because I've been doing a lot of product testing for them, especially on flap discs. They've got good stuff out there, and they got really good prices. He's always trying to beat everybody's price point. And he's got good customer service. You got good prices, good products, and you get 10% off. You can't beat that, man. So check them out. Remember to subscribe, comment, like. Go like me on Facebook if you haven't already. You'll see pictures and progress on both of these projects before the videos are out. So just because, I'm kind of a photo whore. Anyways, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.